Before pumpkin spice, before Instagram posts of hayrides and corn mazes, there was September in the Midwest. A month when paper tickets crackled in your pocket, carnival posters fluttered on telephone poles, and the air itself carried the scent of cider, cut hay, and ink fresh off the printing press. September wasn't just a bridge between summer and fall, it was a living scrapbook of harvest festivals, folklore, and the everyday magic of small-town America. September's character. September has always had its own rhythm. Farmers call it the between month, not quite the blazing labor of August, not yet the chilly hush of October. In the 1930s and 40s Midwest, September was the season of gathering. Corn stood tall and golden in the fields, fairgrounds painted in bright streamers, and schools reopening their doors with chalk-dusted blackboards and children in new shoes. And for the communities scattered across Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin and beyond, this month meant more than just chores and routines. It meant festivals, the kind of celebrations where neighbors became family, and traditions stitched time together like patchwork quilts. Harvest festivals and folklore. In the Midwest, every September weekend was a chance for a gathering. You had the county fairs with their butter cows, pie contests, and tractor pulls. You had the church socials with hymn sings and quilt raffles. And in many towns, you had something older, rituals that felt like echoes from Europe. For instance, the Corn Festival in Illinois, where whole blocks of Main Street were carpeted with fresh corn husks, golden and green, as if the town itself was dressed in autumn's robes. Or the Apple Festivals in Minnesota, where cider presses clanked and steamed while fiddlers played jigs late into the evening. Behind these festivals was folklore, the idea that honoring the harvest ensured blessings through the long winter. In Scandinavian settled towns, they told stories of mischievous harvest spirits that lived in barns. German immigrants passed down Ernst Dankfest, a Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving, with wreaths of wheat hung on barn doors to guard against bad luck. Paper goods, the forgotten treasures. Now here's where September nostalgia gets fascinating. The paper trail. Think about it. Every fair, every harvest dance, every small-town parade produced paper. Tickets printed in bright colors. Handbills nailed to fence posts. Postcards with cheerful pumpkins and smiling scarecrows mailed to cousins in the city. There were scrapbooks too, carefully assembled by mothers and schoolchildren. A ticket stub from a hog judging contest, a flyer from the barn dance, a pressed autumn leaf taped inside with care. Some towns even issued festival booklets, folded illustrated guides with schedules, ads from local businesses, and sometimes folklore blurbs like how to keep a jack-o'-lantern from going out, or why apples bring good fortune in September. Today, these pieces of paper are treasures of Americana. They capture not just events, but moods, the optimism of a farming family, the excitement of a child holding a prize ribbon, the artistry of local printers whose typefaces gave character to every announcement. Folklore in everyday life. But folklore wasn't just whispered in barns or printed in pamphlets, it lived in daily September life. Children in one-room schoolhouses played games like Husking Bee, where whoever found the red corn husk was said to be the next to marry. Farmers believed the thickness of corn husks foretold the winter's harshness. And women baking apple pies would cut vents in the crust shaped like suns or moons, little charms to ensure good health. Even weatherlore had its September lines. If the first week of September is warm, the winter will be long and stormy. These sayings weren't just superstition. They were survival knowledge, dressed in rhyme so it could be remembered. Sounds of the season. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine it, the creak of the wooden Ferris wheel at a county fair. The barkers calling out from game booths, "Step right up. Win a prize." The sharp, rhythmic beat of a marching band in a small-town parade. And underneath it all, the cicadas, the natural soundtrack of Midwestern September evenings. Now mix in the softer sounds, hymnals sung in open-air pavilions, the rustle of corn stalks tied in bundles outside churches, the crinkle of paper bags filled with kettle corn. September was both noisy and quiet. A symphony of community. Surprising historical facts. Here are a few surprising facts you may not know. Carnival printers. Some fair tickets from the 1930s were hand-set on traveling printing presses that went town to town, much like the carnivals themselves. Each town's tickets looked unique because of the typefaces available in that printer's box. Festival buttons. Before modern lanyards, many September festivals issued collectible pinback buttons or even early paper stickers that children wore proudly on their coats. These are now highly collectible pieces of folk ephemera. School Fair Day. In some Midwestern towns, schools actually closed for a day in September so children could attend the fair, because harvest festivals were considered as educational as the classroom. These details remind us, September wasn't just a date on the calendar. It was a living tradition, woven through paper, sound, and shared memory. Sticker and ephemera angle. And this brings us to the most charming layer, stickers and paper keepsakes. Imagine a reproduction of a 1940s Apple Festival poster turned into a sticker for your notebook. Or a jack-o'-lantern smiling from a 1930s seed catalog cover. These designs weren't made for nostalgia at the time. They were everyday advertising, community announcements. Yet today they hold magic. There's something about stickers, postcards, and old ephemera that feels alive. They're portable pieces of history, like carrying the laughter of a county fair or the blessing of a harvest moon in your pocket. So when we think of September now, with our pumpkin spice lattes and digital calendars, it's worth pausing to remember the quieter, paper and harvest September of the past. The Midwest taught us that September is a month of thresholds. A month when fields change color, when schools reopen, when fairs bloom and fade, when folklore slips from barns into printed tickets. And maybe, just maybe, if you hold an old festival booklet in your hands, or press a paper ticket between scrapbook pages, you can still hear it. The fiddle tune, the rustling corn, the echo of children laughing under the harvest moon. September isn't just a month. It's a memory that repeats every year, if you listen closely. They didn't need neon lights or digital screens. Just paper, folklore, and a harvest sky, and somehow, that was enough.